All right. Good afternoon and welcome to our live. We have Dale with us today. I'm super excited and I'll do a big introduction of her. You know that the theme for not just the month so far for the year has been self-love. And that with the work that I do, helping women to find the courage, confidence, and tools to fully embrace their power and show up in their authentic selves, sharing their light with this world. I want to help you guys get tools for all sides of it. I tend to specialize on the emotion and energy mental side, and Dale focuses most of her efforts on the physical side, which plays a huge part in our overall health too. So I was excited when she agreed to be on. But I'm going to read Dale's bio. She's a very impressive woman. We met in a positive parenting group. So if any of you want the details on that, reach out to either of us after. But Dale has been passionate about holistic healing for a very long time. From watching her father at the age of 10 heal from cancer to helping her adult daughter overcome anxiety and depression, power of holistic health has always been something that she deeply believes in. And she knows a lot about it. She believes that the body has an innate ability to heal itself and believes that we cannot bring our best to the people in our lives if our mental and physical health is off balance. She educates families on holistic solutions to improve stress resilience, increase energy, decrease anxiety, lift mood, improve focus in children, and shift weight loss resistance by optimizing the gut-brain connection and modulating the gut microbiome. So she is on a mission to bring this information to families so they can create more harmony and joy in their home. So welcome, Dale. I'm excited to have you here.
Angie, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share this, because I'm shouting from the mountaintops. People need to know about this. It's so vitally important.
Oh, for sure. And since a lot of you are meeting Dale for the first time, just want to let you know she runs an amazing Facebook group because she is passionate truly about the holistic health and brings on, kind of like I'm doing, bringing her here because I know that she has a different specialization than I do. She brings people on too, with different specializations. So you get kind of the full picture.
Mental Wellness Warriors is the name of the group. And there's all sorts of, like you say, interviews in there and science videos and just information about how important that gut-brain connection is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about yourself and your journey, what brought you here and why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah, it's interesting, how life takes you, right, in a certain direction. And I do believe that I was meant to do this because I do feel compelled to do it. I feel that it's a responsibility that I now have, knowing this information, to really share it with everyone, reach as many people as possible. So I was actually with another health and wellness company. I've been in health and wellness my whole life. I raised my kids with homeopathy and herbs and acupuncture and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was at a conference and I met a woman who was with a different health and wellness company. It was a mental wellness company that had just launched. And at the time, my daughter was struggling with anxiety and depression and panic attacks. She had some PTSD as well from college. So I was intrigued with what this woman was telling me about the gut-brain connection. And I had known, how important the gut was for immune, function and, absorption, digestion, that kind of thing. But I never realized that there's a gut-brain connection that really impacts our mental wellness. So, like I said, we didn't want to go the medication route. So we jumped on this protocol for her. Now, at the time, she had graduated from college with a writing degree. She was one of 6 in the country chosen to be in this conservatory writing program. When she graduated, she said, "I can't write. I have no talent." When we got her on the protocol, and I love to put it this way, because when she got on the protocol, now she's writing a book. So she has
Awesome.
that speaks volumes, right? So she has embraced her gift. She is feeling so much better, embracing life. And that's what is so important to me about this piece, because I feel like it's so underestimated, or it's not paid enough attention to, the physiological piece of our mental well-being. Because people think, and it's interesting because when you see the science and you hear about, okay, 90% of serotonin is in the gut, 70% of dopamine, GABA, norepinephrine, are hormones. When you hear the science, you're like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Like, so, and it kind of gives people relief. It gives people like, well, maybe I'm not crazy, like
Yeah.
maybe there is this piece that we're neglecting to pay attention to. And that's why I'm like so passionate about this. And the most amazing thing to me as I was watching my daughter, now this wasn't, like she took this protocol and then 30 days later she's joyful and you know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
process. It's a
Yeah.
process. And throughout that process, what I witnessed, which made it even so more powerful to me, was she would say to me, like it was like kind of like a roller coaster ride, and I actually went and met the formulator. Was like, what's going on? Like some days my daughter's like feeling amazing, other days she's not feeling great. Like what's going on? And he described it as like emotional release, which I know you are well aware of, and that's what you do.
Yeah.
Um, but he's like, it's peeling of an onion. And I remember my daughter saying to me, when I think about the incident that happened to me, I don't feel the same. Like, I don't feel that emotion, that fear, that anger, that whatever emotions were releasing. It's like they released it and it was gone. So when she thought about that incident, it was different. Like
Yeah.
she didn't feel it in her body anymore. And that to me was like mind blowing. Like
Yeah.
that to me proved like there is a true gut brain connection. No
Yeah.
doubt about it.
It's amazing, and it's so fun because, like, I tell my clients when we do sessions, "Hey, we moved a lot of energy. You might have physical symptoms because of it. Like,
Yeah.
you might get tired or cranky or more tired, or like sometimes I get headaches when I move a lot of energy myself."
Mhm.
And like same thing happens. Same thing happened to your daughter, but flip. Like
Mhm.
she was addressing the physical, and so then all
Yeah.
of a sudden it affects it's just another example of how we truly are one unit working all together.
Yes, and you have to have all the pieces in place. You just
Yeah.
can't neglect any one area. The spiritual, the physical, the emotional, all of it has to be addressed.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think like with this protocol, it's kind of like an easy place for people to start. So because it creates like stress resilience, which means that things don't impact you as much, it's easier for them to go into the deeper healing because they have more resilience.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because have you read the book Burnout by Emily and Amelia
No,
Nagoski?
I haven't, but I'm aware of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because they talk about that in terms of stress versus stressor, and
Mm,
stressor is the thing creating the stress, but the
mhm.
stressor is the thing creating the stress, and that we get like if the stress is coming at us faster than we can process it, that's when we have these we start holding it in our body. And
Mhm.
so like with what you're talking about, like yeah, if you get physically stronger and you can heal your gut, which will help your brain, then all of a sudden your stress tolerance, you can handle more of
Is
it.
absolutely
Yeah. Yeah,
what
that's
you said.
so
Yeah.
for some, I think a lot of the people in the group might be aware of some of those terms you were using, because I know a lot of the people in the group are pretty holistic and have looked into some of this stuff. But for those who haven't, can you just explain at a high level like what the serotonin is, why that's important, why we want it balanced, the GABA, some of the things that you were referencing?
Yeah, right. So the GABA, and that was another one that I mentioned before. But in terms of like GABA is a neurotransmitter that is produced in the gut, right? And GABA makes us feel calm. So I
Oh.
think like that's really important, especially for moms. And I hear, and dads too. So I
Yeah.
hear, so it's like you said, like the stress is coming. We can't avoid stress, right? But if we can stay calm amidst the storm, and we can modulate the gut to produce those neurotransmitters to get to the brain. So what I was saying earlier, like the serotonin, 90% of that is produced in the gut. So serotonin is our feel good chemical.
Yeah.
Dopamine, also another feel good chemical, but also dopamine is good for motivation. So to give
Mhm.
us like the umph, like I can get this done kind of thing. So all of those, if the gut is out of whack, which probably 100% of Americans because of many factors, but
Yeah.
stress being number one factor. So it's kind of like a chicken and an egg thing. So
Mhm.
stress affects it. Obviously, what we eat affects it. Toxins that we're exposed to affect it. Like just there's so many things. Medications affect it. If we're taking antibiotics, all that gut bacteria is being destroyed. So you have to repopulate that. So with this protocol, you're repopulating the gut with the good bacteria as opposed to the bad.
Yeah.
And then it's able to release and unlock those neurotransmitters, send it to the brain, and then you're just like sailing. Like I hear
Yeah.
so many times from parents, like something that would have like snapped or like I would have snapped, I'm not snapping anymore. Like
Yeah.
I just feel more calm. I just feel like I can handle more of what's coming my way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I love to, like, in the healing that I work, a lot of times with clients, what I'm working on too is helping them get back in touch with their intuition and to trust it. Because a
Mhm.
lot of us growing up, right, we're taught like we'd have an intuitive hit and then we'd be told, like, well, why do you believe that? Like, what proof do you have? Or you're making something out of nothing. So we kind of shut that down. And sometimes in our healing process, our intuition will lead us to different tools, different doctors, different like health regimens that will help support our physical body. I've noticed that in my healing journey. Sometimes it's been very like, nope, it's appropriate for you to sit and journal. You need to face it, or it's appropriate to do that. And then all of a sudden, I'll very strongly feel like, ooh, it's time for you to take that vitamin you haven't been taking for a while. Like, and
Mhm.
so the intuition will lead us where we go. And so I think it's awesome that you are someone who is passionate about helping provide a tool for when people's intuition leads them that way and says, hey, right now it's appropriate. Sometimes it's appropriate to address the mental, emotional first, and sometimes it's appropriate to address the physical first because
Right.
it's like it coming at the same thing, honoring your body from two different sides.
Right, right. But
Yeah.
for me, I just feel like because the healing work, the deep healing work can be so difficult to have that physiological piece
Yes.
support you through it is so important. So like like our energy, right? If we're doing all this work, like you said, that's drawing away your physical energy. Like that's exhausting, right? But if you
Yes.
can take something, or let's say you're doing all this healing work, but you're not sleeping because your mind is going, right? You could take something to help you. And again, sleep also is affected by the microbiome because when you produce serotonin, serotonin actually converts to melatonin.
Yeah.
So it will help you to sleep as well. So we need
Yes.
all those pieces, you know what I mean? And we need to hydrate. We need to drink a lot of water. I got my water right.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And the
Yeah.
sleep piece, like, oh my gosh. See, I'm like, dang, I should maybe reach out. Cause yeah, I have noticed I noticed that hugely that my sleep, even more than what I eat, affects my inflammation.
Oh, yes.
And how much to and I follow this one man, because I was diagnosed only this past year with ADHD. And I follow a man who specializes in that. And he said that for I think it was like 45 days, he tracked his sleep quality and
Mm,
tracked a number of different executive functioning skills. And he discovered that one night of low quality sleep or not enough sleep affected his executive functioning for 3 days.
I believe it.
Yeah. And so like when you say like if we don't have enough serotonin, which is means we'll have a melatonin deficiency, like
Yeah.
it becomes which came first, the chicken or the egg,
Right.
and then you get stuck in a cycle. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who can function with little sleep? Like sleep is the time when our body is restoring and replenishing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's critical for the brain and the body.
Yeah.
Sleep is so, and I feel like that is really become epidemic. In fact, I did a webinar with our formulator, Dr. Sean, all about sleep. It was fascinating. And all the things that we can do, to help with sleep, one being, of course, balancing the gut, but other stuff. So if you
Yeah.
want to ever look at that, that's really
Oh,
interesting.
the
All
yeah.
the other, like sleep hygiene, basically, is what it was about.
Yeah.
All different things, but you know, the sleep is critical, and I feel like with our teens and our youth that are not getting sleep, their diets are horrendous. They're not drinking water. They're on their devices. They're not getting any air or
Yes.
exercise. Like, then you wonder why there's an epidemic of anxiety and depression. Like
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, hello.
Yeah, I know, I see it in my kids because there was the stress and the anxiety of some stuff going on in our personal life, plus the pandemic.
Oh,
And then I'm like, well, you've kind of been drinking 2 to 3 cans of Mountain Dew a day and eating gas station food.
oh my
Like, why do
God.
you think you're having a hard time focusing at school?
Right, right, right.
That
That's
might be a
huge.
little out of balance. And these are children that I spent hours and hours and months and years doing a lot of TLC to their gut. And
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah,
It's hard. It's hard,
yeah.
but I work with many of them that are just at their wits' end, and
Mhm.
they're open because they realize, like, some of them will get on medication and they'll realize they
Yeah,
don't like the way they feel. They don't feel themselves, so they're more open to trying alternatives. So
yeah.
but I want to
Mhm.
catch those. I want to catch those parents because we have to model all this stuff. We can't
Oh,
be
for
we
sure.
can't be like neglecting our bodies and not working out and not, and then expect our kids to respect their bodies. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, I was just listening to, an interview of Brené Brown, and I
Mm,
believe she was the one who said it, maybe the interviewer, that she's like, "I hate to say it, but what I really realize with parenting is when you talk parenting styles or whatever," she's like, "The big thing with parenting is you really just have to model what you
huge.
want for your kids."
Yeah, you have to do that.
Absolutely.
But I
Yes. Oh
mean,
my god.
eventually, hopefully they'll get it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but if you lay the foundation, like you're a step ahead for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna ask too, see if anyone who's on has any questions for Dale because she is a wealth of information. Jeannie says yes, but I don't know if that's to a question or just what we were saying. I
I
think
think
there
that
might
we
be a like,
gave him a good foundation. I think that's what.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. True. I mean, you do your best, right? And then they leave the nest and you hope that they're going to follow suit. I mean, I
Yeah,
have 5 kids and, you know, I would say all but one. And he was probably the one I was most strict with food. I was a little bit too strict with food. I kind of got a
yeah,
little bit easier, but he's very healthy and he doesn't treat his body well. But he's very healthy. He eats well,
yeah,
but he drinks alcohol. So it's like,
yeah. Is that your son who's the bodybuilder?
no, no.
Oh,
Oh, he would never touch
oh,
drink alcohol. No, my
okay.
son that's the bodybuilder, he's the one that's like, we were like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like he's totally on this path. And
yeah,
then my girls are on the path pretty well. My youngest son for sure. He works out and he doesn't drink really either. So,
yeah.
you do your best and you hope that
Yeah. Well, and all kids have, well, and it depends on their energy type, their personality type, all of that. Like, are they
Mhm.
going to be people who are wired to learn from their own life experience
Yeah,
or wired to want to learn from the wisdom and example of others? And I happen to have 2 of my 3 kids are very much wired. If for those I think a lot of people in the group have heard of it. If you haven't, there's something called human design, and it's pretty amazing. We can do a whole thing on that a different day. I don't know much. I'm like just learning it, but it's pretty amazing. And because when I looked at my kids' human design, I was like, oh, that's why they don't like listening to me and why they feel like almost like, oh, that feels controlling to them. Like literally they're wired to just want to be able to try stuff
yeah,
and see how it works. So the whole like
yeah.
the second that they had an opportunity to eat food that wasn't just prepared by me, they're like, I want to try it. And so then I just say, well, just notice, how does your stomach feel? How are you sleeping? Are you able to focus at school? So,
Yes,
yeah.
I hear you. Because one of my daughters is that way. Like she just needs to learn from her own mistakes. Like you just, and
Yeah.
at that point, you just have to let them because you don't want the resistance.
Yeah. And be the safe landing place. And
Yeah,
like you said, lead by example.
yeah.
Lead by example. So awesome. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions. Jeannie said no question, just loving this.
Good. And I would love to invite everyone that's watching to check out the group, and you're going to see like really mind blowing stories, like just a vast array because everything really does go back to the gut. So you'll see
Yeah.
stuff in there about autoimmune, you'll see stuff about ADHD, ADD, autism, stress resilience, anxiety, depression, like just so many different things.
Also, I'm guessing skin stuff. See, my
Oh,
kids,
yes, absolutely.
yeah, for
Allergies,
people,
skin. Yep.
yeah, for people who don't know a lot of the details of my story, I won't go into detail now because that's not what it's about. But my kids had tons of like really bad eczema and gut issues when they were young. And every single holistic person we went to said, well, skin is directly related to the gut. So
Absolutely.
what's happening on your skin is going to be a reflection of what's happening on your gut. So eczema is a big one that can be
Huge.
like hugely helped by
Yeah.
addressing gut health
Yeah. And
or
allergies.
psoriasis.
And
Yeah.
allergies. I mean, we're not supposed to be so reactive to things.
Mhm.
Like that's an imbalance. It's not normal.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not normal to have pain during your periods. And it's not normal to have pain and all these symptoms during menopause. Like
Yeah.
it's not normal. Like
Well, or I would
that's
say it's what I tell my kids, because if they'll be like, "Well, that's normal," I'll say, "Well, in our culture, it's normal, but normal doesn't mean healthy."
more balanced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, this is
yeah,
a normal body function, right? That we go
yeah,
through. There
yeah,
shouldn't be bad effects from it. There may be
yeah,
changes, but it shouldn't be, headaches and pain and all that kind of stuff. The
yeah,
night flashes or whatever, hot flashes.
yeah.
I didn't have that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I hear women talking about it, but it's not something like that's a tough one. That could be a whole nother story. But if you go in that group and put in like menopause or hot flashes, you'll see stories in there. It's,
Mhm.
it's crazy. Anyway,
That's
I could go on and on and
I
on and
know,
on.
I know. Well, and I love it. I could too. So we probably should sign off. But I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share your knowledge and your passion and your energy. I love your spirit. I always love talking to you. So thank you for
Same
sharing
here.
you with us.